In today's episode, my girlfriend Ellie will have 5 hours to make it as far as she can into Celeste. This tough-as-nails 2D platformer should prove to be one of the biggest challenges she's had to face yet. How high can she climb? How mad will she get?
Oh, no, that's just messed up. That's bullshit.
Oh boy, okay, we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Get cozy, and let's find out how she did.
I wanted to play this, so I'm excited.
It's true that Ellie had been wanting to try out Celeste for quite a while. Her only experience with the game was watching the video I made about it way back in 2023, so she was largely flying blind. Our protagonist Madeline arrives at the base of Celeste Mountain, intent on making it to the summit. Ellie renamed her Ellie, but I'm just gonna call her Madeline to mitigate the risk of confusion. Almost immediately, control is handed over to the player to begin learning the ropes.
So I can't high jump.
Immediately, Ellie began feeling out Madeline's base jump. I could tell that she was comparing it to the physics of Hollow Knight, the only adjacent game that she's played so far in this series, which goes to show that no game is played in a vacuum. Everything we play informs how we interact with subsequent games, a fact that was on display here after less than 1 minute of playtime.
That shouldn't count as this tutorial.
Oh, it counts alright. In fact, speaking of death, I'm introducing a new addition to the show, the Death Par. Each episode, I'm going to pick a total number of deaths that Ellie will attempt to get less than over the course of the 5 hours. For Celeste, her death par is going to be 500 deaths. If she dies less than 500 times, then I don't know. She'll get some kind of prize. Let me know if you have any ideas. We'll find out her total death count towards the end of the video. Ellie made her way through the tutorial section smoothly. She got a better feel for jumping and learned how to climb up vertical surfaces. After a talk with a strange old woman, Ellie learned how to dash, an absolutely vital mechanic.
Whoa, that was cool.
From there, it's off to Celeste's first main level. Unlike a lot of other 2D platformers, Celeste features just a handful of levels, but each one could potentially take hours to finish, depending upon the player's skill level. If you weren't already aware, this game presents a serious challenge, and even level 1 can prove to be frustrating.
Reminds me of Mario. Like the picking the worlds feels like Super Mario Bros. On my DS.
So Ellie had some platformer experience, but not a ton. Like I said, most of the experience she's received in recent years comes from Hollow Knight. Regardless, Ellie charged ahead. Each of Celeste's levels is split into screens that contain a self-contained series of obstacles. Once you overcome the challenges, Madeline can jump into the next screen to start the process again. Initially, the platforming is pretty simple, but requires precise use of your skill set.
I don't want to be over here. Too hard. That's too hard.
The game features a plethora of optional side rooms that typically offer up a strawberry as a reward. These alluring fruits are never required and can be quite a pain to acquire, so I assumed Ellie would often opt to skip them.
I don't care enough about strawberries to risk my life more for them.
Well, there you go.
I didn't even get it.
Get what?
That thing. That glowing thing.
Interestingly, Ellie seemed to assume that the green gem was a collectible of some kind, but it actually recharges Madeline's dash. She can only dash one time before the ability needs to be recharged, and the only way to recharge it is to land back on a solid platform of some kind, or hit one of these gems in midair. Madeline's capacity to dash is indicated by the color of her hair. If it's red, she's good to dash, but if it's blue, she needs to recharge. Ellie didn't understand any of this yet, so what the gem was doing didn't register. On the next screen, the same mechanic was presented.
Talk me through it. What are you thinking?
I don't even know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I don't know what I'm doing. It's not doing what I'm telling it to do. It's not doing the dash thing. I promise you. Bullshit. That's bullshit. I dashed backwards and it took me the wrong way. Okay, that was the one time it's worked. I don't know where to go from here.
Ellie began to notice that dashing occasionally wouldn't work, which is because she hadn't recharged her dash, but as of right now, all Ellie could assume was that the game wasn't responding correctly. Each screen is, in essence, a puzzle, so I advised her to think through her options as she analyzed what to do.
Ah! That was all luck and just really scary. Is that a checkpoint? He won't answer.
She made it through, which was great, but unfortunately, Ellie didn't understand how she had done it. At some point, I knew she'd have to develop an understanding of dashing. These moving platforms are a key mechanic of level 1, and this screen is the first point at which the player really needs to develop a sense for how they function.
I think this is more deaths than any video we've done to date.
Well, it's a very different kind of game.
I tried to impart that the deaths really don't matter, and soon enough, she made it through and into a couple of screens that went really smoothly for her. It was clear that Ellie had the base platforming down and was developing a feel for Madeline's weight and how she moves. Little did we know that her progress was about to come to a screeching halt.
Like, why won't that dash? I'm frustrated. It won't dash. I'm trying to jump over to that blue wall, shimmy down, and then dash onto the gray platform that I know will shake and disappear. And while it's shaking and disappearing, I'll dash and go to the right wall that's gray.
It was a great strategy with one issue. It meant that Madeline would have to dash twice before landing back on the ground, which she can't do. Ellie began trying to execute her strategy, but sadly, it wouldn't ever work. I gave her some time to work through things by herself, but after enough time had passed, I wanted to see if I could help.
Alright, now before you get into the next attempt, look at little Ellie. Describe her appearance. What do you notice about Ellie?
Just got bright red hair.
Why don't you dash into that left wall right there and hold on to it. Now describe Ellie's appearance to me.
She has
What do
blue
you
hair.
notice?
Why does it matter what color her hair is?
Well, that's a good question.
Can I not dash again while I'm blue?
Bingo.
I don't know how to make my hair red.
Well, your hair is blue, your hair is red. What just happened?
I rested.
Through a little back and forth, Ellie now understood the mechanics. That was the most important thing, but now she needed to figure out how to make sense of those mechanics in the context of each individual challenge. She'd boxed herself into thinking that she knew how to get through this room, but just couldn't execute the solution. In actuality, she just hadn't found the solution yet.
No, you're doing fine here. But ultimately, we gotta get over there somehow.
The methodology that you have imprinted as the path, just toss it aside. You know that you need to get to that gray platform somehow. You know that you need to get there, and the way that you've been trying to get there won't work. So let's just try something else. Now, what was so wrong with that jump that you just did right there?
I died
Why did you die?
because I fell into the spikes.
Why did you let yourself fall into the spikes?
Because I jumped.
Okay. What color was her hair when you were falling down into the spikes?
Red.
And what does red hair indicate?
That I can dash, but not midair, right?
Not so fast. You can indeed dash in midair. Somewhere along this process, Ellie had convinced herself that such a move wasn't possible, and shortly after implementing it,
There you go.
My hands are really sweaty.
Oh boy.
That was stressful.
she moved on to find some more moving blocks that launch you upwards. This enables you to leap higher, but the timing can take some practice, as we'd soon see. In order to activate this moving block, you have to grab onto its side. Ordinarily, you'd put your weight on it, but by placing spikes on top of it, Celeste forces the player to learn this new mechanic. This next room can be a bit tricky. Madeline has a huge gap to clear, one that's clearly too far to jump across. The only way to progress is to use the moving block's momentum to thrust yourself to the other side. Ellie was able to grasp the concept, but it's not just figuring out what to do that can be challenging, but being able to actually do it. If you've seen some previous episodes, you know that timing isn't Ellie's strong suit. These moving blocks required quite a bit of that. Despite her frustration, she was getting better.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wait, now go back to that screen. You know what you did, but just what was the feeling there?
I was trying to time it to where that would push me over.
Okay.
And then I dashed too to get the extra bump.
You'd assume level 1 would be the easiest, and I guess it probably is here in Celeste, but I actually felt Ellie would enjoy some of the later levels a lot more than this one. Ellie's platforming prowess was solid, but the specific mechanics of these moving blocks is really what seemed to be giving her the most trouble.
All right, talk me through what you're trying to do here. I know you're trying to get up there, but
Trying to jump, dash, then go back to the wall. And climb up it and go there.
okay.
As the game progresses, some of the singular rooms start to grow longer, which means the checkpoints are spread further apart. Until you get that quick scroll to a new screen, you're gonna have to start the entire room over again, regardless of how far you've made it. Obviously, this can be incredibly frustrating, which we'll see exemplified in just a little bit.
I don't know what I just did. I can jump onto that thing?
This is gonna be, I think, a big theme for this game is don't assume anything.
I don't understand what that does. Does it let me dash again?
I'm not saying there's some crazy out-of-the-box solution that you're missing, but, you know, just if something, I mean, you can try anything as many times as you want, but if it's clearly not working, then there might be something else to attempt.
This jump up here was giving Ellie a lot of trouble. What's so interesting is that all you have to do is jump over toward the platform and then dash to cover the extra ground. It's not very hard, but Ellie didn't seem to realize that it was something she could do. It just goes to show that Celeste is more of a puzzle game than I've given it credit for in the past.
Don't worry about this attempt has to be the one that I get it. Just think, okay, what can I try? What can I do differently?
It feels like I can't just jump from here.
Why does it
Or
feel
dash
like?
from here, because I'll hit the spikes. I don't go tall enough.
Well, I will say you haven't really experimented with that. Okay.
Okay, I really don't know why my brain assumes I can't do stuff.
And there you have it. Now she could do it easily. She just needed to open up her mind.
I know,
You
but
can
I
always
just thought that
rely
I
on-
couldn't in this
Right.
game. I couldn't dash after just jumping.
So up until right now,
Midair.
you didn't think that you could jump and then dash?
Not midair.
Man, nuggets like these are so fascinating. Throughout her time with the game, Ellie hadn't realized that she could jump and then dash in midair. Even more confounding is that she'd already done this numerous times. Once she got to a new situation though, her mind just didn't acknowledge that possibility. Hopefully, this realization would serve her moving forward.
Well done.
Okay, they throw you into something so fast that you can't even appreciate the work you've done.
Take a
Throw
moment.
me into something so quickly that I just want to appreciate the work I've done here.
Feelings of overwhelmedness aside, progress was being made. With this next room, Ellie forgot about another mechanic, but managed to recall grabbing the moving blocks a lot quicker.
Man, I'm still on this first little world. That's crazy though, when you really think about it.
Well, there are only like 7 levels in the game.
That's still crazy. Oh my gosh, thought you were gonna say like 5 or 6. Like,
Sure, this level had taken a while, but we were approaching the end, and I knew that she could do it. Without question, she was getting a lot better. This next room was a prime example, as she almost made it all the way through on her first try. She was retaining an issue though of panicking a bit when she jumped and dashing too quickly, stunting the ground that she could cover.
There we go, you did it.
again, I'm having to rewire my brain that I can do the dash mid-air. It's just not my instinct. It's like, oh, you need to hold on to that for a minute before you go so you get closer to the other side.
There was one more pain point before this level could be surmounted. As you can probably surmise, Ellie needed to use the moving blocks to thrust herself forward, but in order to complete this, she'd have to nail the timing. She continued to practice and eventually...
Well, there you go.
It's too stressful. I'm gonna be too panicked once I'm up there.
As soon as she got it once, she was able to get it much more reliably. Isn't it so interesting how once you do something successfully, it immediately feels so much easier? Even when I revisit hard games years later, it's amazing how much simpler they are relative to when I first played them.
Can she go? I don't know what my hands are doing differently sometimes than they are other times. Like, why is that not working this time?
Eventually, Ellie made it to the top of the room. All she had to do was cross these platforms, and she was home free.
Damn it!
Well, look at that. Isn't it crazy how quickly you can do it twice in a row after not being able to do it once?
Hey, I sound like myself!
Oh, I don't know what to do here. Okay.
Nicely done.
Whoa, where am I? Where am I?
With that, Ellie had emerged victorious, over level 1 at least. There's still plenty of mountain to climb, and I was quite curious to see how she'd fare in level 2, which feels entirely distinct from what precedes it.
Okay, good to know. I don't feel bad about avoiding half of those then. That has a nice sound.
It does. I like that sound.
I want to do it again. That was really satisfying. Ready?
Oh, yeah. I like that.
The old site begins very quietly and easily, but soon enough, we're back to business.
Oh my god. I don't want to be in here.
Initially, this room looked pretty daunting. A lot of spikes, a lot of death, but Ellie managed to nail it almost immediately. Level 2 feels decidedly distinct compared to 1. Sure, the game's core tenets remain, but each level of Celeste is predicated upon different primary mechanics. The moving blocks gave her a lot of issues, but they're nowhere to be found here. Ellie was able to navigate pretty smoothly through these rooms and soon enough came to an interesting looking mirror.
It's me! Oh my goodness. Who was that? That's really cool. That's really cool and fun. Ah!
Ellie had freed some sort of doppelganger and activated one of the main level 2 features. These sparkling blocks enable Madeline to dash through them and are, for my money, one of the most fun mechanics in the game. The direction of your dash determines your trajectory through the block. If you dash up, you're going up, down, you're going down. You get the idea. Once you're in the block, you can't change direction.
Ooh, she's menacing. Oh, she's gonna fight me.
Ellie had now begun level 2 proper. A lot of navigating through the magic blocks while being chased by Madeline's doppelganger, or Badeline, as she's known colloquially.
I'm getting killed by a whole part of myself. This is such a deep metaphor and really sad, quite frankly.
Badeline follows you to a T. She replicates your moves exactly, just about a second behind, so you have to remain in motion to avoid getting caught. If level 1 is a bit more contemplative in nature, level 2 is focused on tight, fast-paced platforming and split-second decisions. Things were sailing pretty smoothly so far until Ellie arrived at a room that requires 4 switches to be touched before the way forward is unlocked.
Oh, I want to kill her. Can't even apply any cool techniques I've learned because I'm just like panicking and... Forgot there were fucking spikes there. Please God, please God, please God, please if you care about me, please. Ah!
Phew, okay. We made it through that, but now Badeline had multiplied, ratcheting up the pressure even more.
That was
Wow, that was
crazy
very
how
impressive.
long that lasts.
Yeah, that was good.
Since the solutions here were pretty direct, Ellie was getting a chance to flex her platforming muscles. Her improvement was showing, and it felt like only a matter of time before she triumphed. With this next room though, the longer stretches between checkpoints were again rearing their heads. A successful attempt still doesn't take more than 10 to 15 seconds to get through, but that can feel like a long time in Celeste seconds. The longer the room is, the more the pressure has time to intensify. To make matters worse, this room had a very tricky segment at the end, meaning that the first time you finally make it through, you're almost guaranteed to die. As soon as Ellie had made it here once though, she began to do it almost every time, a phenomenon that continues to fascinate me. Oh, that one hurt. Ellie didn't seem to see the hole in the ground that would take her to the next room, thinking instead that she needed to go up.
Oh my God, does that go down?
Ooh.
No, they don't even give me a reprieve in this one.
With that, she'd arrived at the final challenge of level 2, and unsurprisingly, it's a doozy. Not only does it demand some of the most skilled platforming of any section so far, but it's long. Any slip up before completing the entire section means starting it all over again. Ellie was trying to stall a bit to slow down her clones, but by my estimation, that doesn't ultimately do you that much good, since it slows Madeline down as well.
They've got to do something about these spikes up here. This is not safe.
There's really no time to think here, so every time that she'd arrive at a new section, she felt like there wasn't enough time to process what she was seeing.
Oh, well, this is just going to be stressful. This is the worst. I didn't know I was going to go back. I thought I was going to get a restart there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That's annoying. I don't know how to do those. Oh, it's so frustrating. I just want to... Can I take a picture with my phone and look at it longer?
I don't think you're going to have time to do that.
Ugh! I hate those bikes.
As we got closer to the end of the hour, Ellie grew progressively quieter, more intensely focused. She was locking in, baby. She'd gotten the first half of the room down to a science, she just needed to seal the deal.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's this shit again. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that's ridiculous.
So close. She was almost to the end. She could do it.
Is that a checkpoint? This is not a checkpoint. I don't know what I'll do with myself.
A pretty subdued reaction, but Ellie had done it. As a reward, she got the chance to meet the incredibly cool Theo, whom she'd managed to skip in the first level. Next up is level 3. This one takes place in a strangely empty hotel and is one of the most memorable levels of the game.
What do I always say?
Yeah, but it means something when the game tells me that.
These black and red blob fellows are introduced early on and will play a key, maddening role in this level's challenges. Shortly after entering the hotel, Madeline is introduced to Mr. Oshiro, the ghostly manager of the Celestial Resort Hotel.
Right this way, Miss Ellie. Feels like I'm gonna die here.
Unfortunately for Ellie, timing would be playing a bigger role here than it did in level 2. In the interim between hours 3 and 4, Ellie seemed to have lost her touch with wall climbing. For some reason, she didn't think she could scale this platform, which made this room harder than it needed to be. Regardless, she made it through after a few minutes, but given that this was effectively the first room of this level, I had a feeling that we may be in for some frustration.
Close call.
Oh, I'm shaking. Oh, it's already really clammy down here.
Oh boy.
Next up was a room with a brand new challenge. These little wavy tendrils are safe to grab or step on, but once you move off of them, they can no longer be touched. The rooms in level 3 are often pretty small and intimate, but they ask a lot of you. The path through this next room is pretty straightforward, but the hazards force the player to move quickly, giving you less time to process what you need to do in the moment.
It just annoys me how I can get really good at something and do it right for a few tries, and then it's like that's what becomes the hard part for me. I need, like, someone to tell me what to do about sweaty hands. I don't want to have sweaty hands when I play a game anymore. I'm sick of it. I need, like, a paper towel wipe down.
We'll look into that.
One constant of level 3 is the need to grab onto walls. It's possible to jump from one side of a vertical platform like this to the other without ever stepping on top of it, which this room forces you to do. Since you can only hold onto a surface for so long, again, there's very little time to make decisions. Ellie was falling into a rut of dashing to this wall here and then sliding down to land on the rightmost platform. This just isn't possible, but she was starting to lock her brain into this being her solution, an issue that we've seen plague her before.
How do I get over there? Doesn't feel possible. Okay, I have no idea what I just did, so can you tell me what I did?
Well, she did, which is all that really matters, right? I could tell that Ellie's patience was depleting, which is completely understandable. Even completing a room did little to alleviate her anger, as the next one was likely to be just as difficult, if not worse.
I really am so bad at this. If I could have one thing I could wish for to have gaming-wise, it would be to be good at timing.
As soon as we walked into this one, I knew we were in trouble. Like that room in level 2, you're required to hit 4 switches to unlock the door on the right, but once you leave the starting platform, you have very limited ground on which you can stand, and most of it bounces you up. It's a chaotic space and made formulating a plan of attack very difficult for Ellie.
I just hurt my hand. I just sprained something.
Oh boy.
I just jumped too hard and it hurt. It triggered like a muscle down my whole hand. I want to know how you would do it so bad.
Wow.
That was scary. That was like a really turn it out at the last second one.
Well done.
Whoa.
Well done.
Scary.
This was another great room to exemplify the fact that no matter what, Ellie would eventually prevail. Celeste features no life system, so there is literally no consequence for dying except a little wasted time, which isn't even really wasted since you probably learned something new. So die, and die again. Ellie embraced that ideology as she pushed deeper into the hotel. The kind soul that she is, Ellie set off to help Mr. Oshiro tidy up. A seemingly innocuous task, but one that was likely easier said than done. She began the journey by running back into Theo, who's also trying to get back outdoors.
I would have left with him. This is too spooky.
In order to bring this place back to its former glory, you have to complete 3 separate sections, each one ending with a big button that sucks a bunch of books back into the shelves. These sections can be completed in any order, but what's interesting is that certain platforms are composed of books, as you may have noticed. Once you clean up, say, the purple books, all the platforms composed of purple books disappear, making the remaining paths more difficult. Once you get everything cleaned up, the end of level 3 draws near, so it seemed like Ellie might be able to escape as she was progressing smoothly thus far.
I fixed this whole hotel.
1 down, 2 to go. Ellie sailed through the purple path without much issue, but the blue path was proving to be a bit more of a challenge. I'm not sure what purple platforms would have been here if she'd done this one first, but it likely would have been making things easier for her.
Like, this phenomenon is just so frustrating to me that you can be good at something for the first 6 tries and then you get worse and worse at it for a while.
Indeed it is, and I think we all know what she's talking about. Particularly in platformers, you can often backslide when trying the same section over and over again. Suddenly, the first part that you had down feels insurmountable, which means you can hardly ever try the later section, and when you do, the pressure is so intense that you screw up before you even realize what's happening. It's incredibly frustrating, and this sense of stagnancy was driving Ellie crazy.
F me gently with a chainsaw.
Oh god.
Ugh,
That wasn't so bad.
it looks bad.
Now if this room looks tough, that's because it is. I replayed through level 3 after Ellie was finished and did this path before the purple path, which left a large platform of purple books in the center of this room. This made it much simpler, and I think Ellie would have had a significantly easier time had she done this one first.
Why doesn't it go up? Why is sometimes up, sometimes straight, sometimes no? How did I ever get up on that platform, Wilson?
2 down, 1 to go. Given that 2 paths were completed, it seems safe to assume that this final path may be the most difficult. She began smoothly, but soon enough, we arrived in a room that, well, you'll see.
Man, I really don't want to be hung up on this part. I want to figure it out. I want to be good.
This far right section of the screen just wasn't happening. I knew she could figure it out eventually, but at this point, Ellie had been through such a platforming gauntlet that her patience had reached its conclusion.
I can't do it, Wilson. I'm doing stupid shit right now. This is all stupid. Everything I'm doing is stupid. That bullshit. What was that? Why does it jump up? Fuck. I was fucking wrong. It was not what I was trying to do. Why does the button not do what my brain wants it to do?
I'm really not sure what's happening at this point.
And then I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna have no sense for relief because I'm just gonna go into another room with these little guys in it again that makes me feel just as frustrated. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's over. I really, really liked this game and I mean, obviously because I want to keep going and I really want to get this. I like it, but this is like the most unsatisfied and frustrated I've been to end one of these yet. Don't like this level at all. I despise it. I thought it was gonna be cool, and I don't like it at all. If I never get it, then I'm just gonna feel unsatisfied for eternity, and it's just gonna be the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Over the course of the journey, Ellie racked up a very respectable 1,515 deaths. Suffice to say, she didn't quite hit the death par on this one, but that's okay. She made great progress, and shortly after I stopped recording, she did indeed complete this screen. While we do some breathing exercises, why not check out another episode of the show? And if you enjoyed this video, giving it a like really helps it spread to more people. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We'll see you next time.